and just really torpedoed his career. Necessarily, this is a horrible thing that happened, and it shined light on really the negative sides of what his career had been up until then. And I was there, and I didn't know that was coming. So I captured all of that. And it was really seeing like the collapse of a career in real time. And that's what the movie was about sort of how he dealt with that, about how that story came to light, what it meant to the people involved, how it affected their lives. And it was a really I think a really monumental piece of documentary filmmaking. And we premiered it at the South by Southwest Film Festival. Very well reviewed, like even by super skeptical reviewers like Variety and LA Times. And a lot of them would be like, I didn't want to watch a movie made by a YouTuber. Like, I don't give a shit. But it turns out this is a very, like, there were a lot of reviews that said it was impartial, which was all that I was going for. I didn't want people to think I was rah-rahing him. And I didn't want people to think that I was shitting on him. You know, I'm not in it. You've seen it, you know, I'm not, it's not about me. And it's a movie, it's a piece I'm really proud of. And like, we had some really interesting distribution opportunities that kind of like came and went and weren't dealt with well. And then like very recently, and I don't know how to say this without causing a bunch of trouble, like very, very recently we had a very, very interested party that was a perfect place to distribute it. And it fell apart at the 9th hour because of political reasons. I believe because of political reasons that had nothing to do with me or the movie itself, but somebody involved with selling it was fired from his job at the last minute. It kind of put us in a compromised position. I don't know that that's why the sale didn't go through, but it's one of these things. And like, I think I use as an excuse these third-party factors for why it didn't get distribution, for why it's not out there. But I think the real reason is like, there's some part of me that like doesn't want to release it. Like, I have a YouTube channel with
I was going to say, why not
10 million viewers? I can put it out there.
Do you think the ball has rolled too
No,
far
I
down
think it's
the
probably
hill?
more relevant now than ever.
Really?
I don't know. I feel weird about it. You know, I feel weird about it because the impact it had on my relationship with David, which I wasn't naive to. Like, my goal with that was just to sort of tell the truth and give him an opportunity to tell his truth, which I believe he did. But, you know, I think that there was some expectation that the movie might protect him. And instead, I think that movie was just a very honest view of what happened. And, you know, like he and I haven't really spoken since then. And that's very, I knew that was going to happen, but I don't deal with that well. There's not many people in this world that I like love. And I really love David Dobrik. And I'm really conflicted about that. So all this just to say that, like, I think my own sort of fucked up emotions about it have had a negative impact on my willingness to let that documentary be seen. And look, it's not like I'm trying to protect him. I think there's a lot of truth in that movie. You know, maybe there's also some insecurity about it, which is just that, like, I think it is a very powerful movie. And like, I like making fun. This is a cop-out. I like making fun YouTube videos. I hate fucking dealing with conflict. I'm not afraid of it. I made a video 3 weeks ago called Jew, Jew, about what it means to be a Jew. And like, you know, the kind of conflict that arises, but like, I'm not afraid of conflict. But in this particular case, it's like, it's not about me. And I feel like, I don't know, I've stuck my head into something. Like what I always say, and this is a fucking cop-out, and I'm embarrassed to be saying this, but it is the truth, is like, I never signed up to make that movie. I wanted to make a fun movie about this kid I love named David Dobrik and his success. And then all this shit came up that was horrifying to me. And I felt an obligation to the world to tell the truth. And I think this movie did that. And then at the end of that, I too was just like, who am I to be this? Like, why do I have to be the arbiter here?
Like the magnifying glass for it.
Yeah,
does it cover any of the Jeff stuff, or is it?
A little bit. It touches on that, but again, Jeff speaks for Jeff in that part of the narrative. David speaks for David in that part of the narrative.
Is there any grand revelations, or is it just having a real eye on it?
I think what the movie is at the end of the day is it shows what happens when tremendous responsibility is bestowed on individuals that are unaccustomed to that kind of responsibility in a world that has yet figured out how to deal with that kind of responsibility. I think there are parallels there with, like, if you think of what rock and roll was in the 60s that we're only learning about now, like these rock stars that are dating underage women that are wreaking all this havoc all over the world with groupies and drugs and death and suicide, and all of this gnarliness just happened then because nobody was looking, nobody was paying attention. And I think that the YouTube world, it's now finding some shape and some structure, but if you remember when we were coming up, like it's like no one's looking over our shoulders. I thank God that I was 35 when I blew up on YouTube. But what were you 20, 21?
Yeah.
Like no one's looking over Logan's shoulder.